And welcome to Musicians and Beyond, where we bring you the backstage info on the life, lyrics, and the long journeys of the music industry. Today in studio, we have a very special guest, but first of all, we have to thank Debbie and Jerry from It's Another Sunday podcast for recommending Kai Wilson. Kai, welcome to the studio.
Oh, I appreciate you having me. It's a cool little spot.
Thanks, man. We're psyched that we were able to make the schedule work and have you come in. You know, you can tell us your story. What's going on in your life right now?
Yeah, well, I'm currently wearing my work jeans. I just spent all day at work, so I quickly hustled over here. I'm currently working for a general contractor in Boston doing construction. I'm covered in sweat and dust right now.
All right, construction worker by day and rock star by night.
Well, I tell everyone at least.
Well, that's not a bad story to tell. What was Kenny Chesney's song, We Went Out Last Night? So I bet you have a couple of stories about that.
Yeah, the guys at work are always like, hey, so what happened last night? I'm like, it's Monday. What are you talking about?
Well, I'll tell you, we're very happy that Jerry and Debbie introduced us to you. You know, that's last week we spent the week in the studio being interviewed by them. So to have you here this week after getting the recommendation, we thank you for taking some time after work and coming out and speaking with us. So we're excited to be here talking with Kai. And Kai, tell me, what genre of music are you in?
Oh gosh, I feel like, you know, I give a different answer to everyone I talk to. I would say the big umbrella genre would be country music, right? Vocals, guitar, country music. But I would say mostly it's more of a indie rock, folk, alternative.
It's funny, when I've been listening, I've kind of in my own head, I've described it as indie folk, you know?
Yeah, and people say, you know, like Americana is a big genre.
Yeah.
A lot of the musicians I listen to or derive a lot of inspiration from, I'd say, are mostly like the Avett Brothers, who I'm actually driving down to New York to go see on Sunday.
Oh, good for you.
A big inspiration of mine is like Zach Bryan, who's kind of like this newer musician. I don't even know if you would consider him new. He has been posting YouTube videos forever, but his music has just gotten
exploded
huge,
recently.
right? And he's incredibly talented, right? So he's under that country genre. But when I listen to him, I don't consider him country music. I consider that, you know, more soulful than anything else. His originality is insane.
Yeah, and you know, I think a lot of people are crediting him right now in the country genre. They're crediting his writing.
Exactly.
So I think that's why he's fitting into a mold there and making the circles there. Incredibly talented.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you are wicked busy. Between you just got your master's degree.
I did, yeah.
Congratulations on that. That's big. You work all day long.
Yeah.
You get some
feels like it.
guitar practice in a little bit, and then you go out and you play the clubs.
That's right.
Yeah, you're all around.
All around.
You're all around New England.
Yep.
You have some Nashville things going on, or
Yep.
Tennessee things, and Colorado. Yeah,
Yeah.
you get a big following in Colorado.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I hear that.
That's kind of where I would say my music journey really began. I've always played the guitar, and then when I graduated college, I moved into my first apartment in Brighton, Massachusetts, actually, and really kind of got into playing covers mostly by myself. Always wrote a few songs here and there, and I would be embarrassed to play them anywhere now because I've come so far, I'd say. And then I started doing this like small open mic night, and then had this opportunity to move across the country to Colorado. I lived in a small town called Leadville, Colorado. I moved out there by myself. It all kind of happened really quickly for me. It's kind of actually a funny story.
You were on the run.
It felt like it a little bit. Well, I was like in my 20s, and after college, I was like, after college, I'm gonna travel the world. I'm gonna be so well traveled, and I get an internship, and they're like, all right, the job's yours if you want it, and I was like, crap, like, all right, I'll take the job and then I'll travel the world, and then you're working for a few years, you get a girlfriend, you start working, you start getting more involved in your job, and then at one point I feel like I woke up and was like, what am I doing right now? Like, I had a brief moment of like feeling too comfortable. So I loosely started applying to jobs all over the U.S. I wasn't really telling anyone. It was, mostly just kind of like whatever, feeling it, putting out feelers. I didn't necessarily hate my job. I didn't necessarily hate my girlfriend. I didn't hate Boston and stuff. And then I got this like, this guy reached out to me, Tony, who was my boss at the time. He was like, hey, look, interested in your resume. We're in Leadville, Colorado. And I was like, oh, all right, yeah, like, I'd be happy to talk on the phone. And still didn't really tell anybody. So we talked for like 15 minutes, and he's like, all right, let's get you like a real phone interview. Let's talk, let's talk one of these days and like really have an official interview. And I was like, okay, cool. I probably shouldn't do it during my work day, so if we could work something out, I know the time difference and stuff. He was like, well, let's do it on a Saturday. I was like, Saturday's interview? Okay, yeah, sure. So we ended up talking on the phone and just shooting the shit for like 2 hours more than actually interviewing. He was like, all right, let's get you out here. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, all right, yeah, sure, no problem. Still didn't really tell anybody, right? So then I get out there, I'm starting to kind of loosely tell people, and he was like, all right, job's yours if you want it. And I was like, push comes to shove, I was like, all right, yep, let's make it happen. So I just kind of dropped everything on a whim and moved out to Colorado. And then back to my music journey, kind of full circle, I was out there alone. I didn't have friends out there. I was out in the country of Colorado, so I wasn't even in the city of Denver. I was like in the highest elevated city in the lower 48. My apartment sat at 10,200 feet. So I was losing my breath walking from the couch to the kitchen to refill my water. And as a way to try and make friends, I started going to open mic nights, just driving 45 minutes, hour and a half, just to go play a few songs and really kind of, then venues were like, well, if you can fill a set, we have opportunities for you. And I was like, yeah, I can, sure. I'll fill a set.
That's cool. One of the open mic nights that you did early in your career turned out to be a whole night of you. I guess nobody else showed up to play or to sing, but you, and you filled up a couple of hour slot.
At RMU Breck. That's a great story too. It was my first open mic night in Colorado, actually. So technically I could say it's my first set. I don't tell people it's my first set, but technically I guess it was. I show up to this open mic night. I don't know anyone. I've just driven an hour and 15 minutes to this place, RMU, which is Rocky Mountain Underground. It's like half ski shop, half bar. Such a cool place to hang out. People in bibs and big boots, If you walk in there with a nice pair of shoes and a button-down, people give you dirty looks kind of place. And so I walk in there, and there's a couple other musicians. I can see they're tuning their guitars and stuff. I introduce myself, like, I'm going to make some friends. Maybe they're locals. And so I'm like, hey, I'm Kai. I'm looking forward to hearing your stuff. First musician plays, sounds great. He left. Second musician plays, sounded great. I tried to find him afterwards. He had left. So I was up. I was third musician, and I'm playing, and all of a sudden the manager's standing there, and she's like, all right, I don't think there's any more musicians. Do you have more songs? And I was like, yeah, of course. So I play a few more songs, and then a few more songs, and then next thing you know, I'm feeling like a 2 or 3 hour set just playing covers. I didn't have any original music at that time or nothing.
Right.
And it was great. People were cheering and singing. I was like, this is the coolest experience.
You started off saying, okay, let's go with the $20 request. $20 for a request.
Yeah, exactly. That is funny. People was like, $20 right now for Tennessee Whiskey by Chris Stapleton. I'm like, oh, I played that 3 songs ago. They're like, all right, you don't want $20? I'm like, all right, fine, I'll take that.
Play it again.
I would have done it for free if you just asked, but all right.
I love it.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
It is. So you went out there. You had been writing songs on your own.
Yep.
So when did you start the writing process? At what age?
So again, it was kind of in my first real apartment out of college, I would say. I wrote my first real song. It felt like a real song at least. And it was about leaving the city to the mountains, right? So talk about foreshadowing. And I played it out. I put it on SoundCloud and stuff. And, I got 2 or 3 listens. And I was like, this is awesome. And from there, right, as I started to get more into playing live and seeing more, when you guys probably know, right? When you start playing music live, start being in front of people live, the way you watch concerts is different. The way you listen to music is different. The way I wrote my music back then is different than the way I write it now, right? There's part of me that writes the music for me, and then there's another part of me that's like, what is the thrill of what's going to be the thrill, the experience that I feel playing something like this, so vulnerable, right, in front of all of these people. especially as you start to play more gigs where, you know, like those So Far shows that we were talking about before this, right? Like, people are told to listen in those sort of environments. So when you start playing vulnerable music, it's crazy how vulnerable it can feel and how nervous you get and quickly, right? It's one thing to play a love song that someone else wrote, and then you go to play a heartbreak song that you wrote, and you're like, oh, this is a scary feeling.
But at least if it's something you wrote yourself and you forget the words, you can just make stuff up and people won't know.
Yeah,
Won't know the difference, right?
Exactly. It's the worst when people are singing along and you're like, I think I forgot a verse, and everyone's like, oh, he forgot a verse.
Right.
So where have you playing around Boston? What venues?
So I've played at Loretta's Last Call in the Fenway area. I've played at Nash Bar, which is a Nashville-style country bar on Tremont Street in the Theater District, right across the street from the Wang Theater. I think it's a relatively new bar.
It is.
Yep.
And then with the So Far venues, I've played all over. I've played in apartments. I've played like residential shows. I played in the coolest residential show in Chinatown. It was this huge apartment, and they piled like 70 people into it. One air conditioning unit in the whole thing.
So
everyone was dripping sweat.
You felt like you were in this room.
Oh, it was insane. It was great. We had the most fun. It like brought everyone together. I'm surprised no one passed out, but like it was great. Played all over.
All over. And you have some shows coming up. So September 3rd, you're in Belmont, Mass.
Yep.
September 10th and 14th, you're in Cambridge, Mass.
Yep.
And then the 21st, you're out in Nashville.
I am the 21st. I fly down to.
How exciting.
Yeah. That Nashville show is going to be a total rock star event for me. I'm flying out to Nashville Wednesday morning, hanging out in Nashville for the day, playing the show, and then hopping on a plane immediately to fly back for work the next day.
Oh,
Wow.
boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a whirlwind. You're going to wake up the next morning and go, shit, man, did that
even
really happen?
Yeah, I'm going to wake up and be like, oh, what a great dream.
And
Yeah.
where in Nashville?
It's in a place called Five Spot.
Five Spot.
I don't think it's exactly off of Broadway, but it's going to be a full original set. I'm playing with a buddy of mine named James Freeborn. It was his event, and he was nice enough to invite me out for a second go around. He's actually the gentleman we did the singer-songwriter round with in the Listening Room down in Tennessee.
Oh, cool.
And
Cool.
then
Yeah, we'll have to put that information on our website, on our Musicians and Beyond website, so people know how to find you and listen to you. If someone wants to hear some of your stuff, how do we get them in touch?
yeah, so this is actually perfect timing. On Saturday, September 10th, the same day as my So Far show in Harvard Square in Cambridge, my first professional single is going to be releasing. It's called If I Was Your Man.
Awesome.
So that's going to be dropping on all of your favorite streaming platforms: iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music. It's going to be everywhere.
Rock and roll. Check it out, people. Check it
I'm
out.
really excited.
And
Really
they can.
excited.
Do you have a Instagram page
I have
and a
an
Facebook?
Yep, I have Instagram. That's definitely where you'll stay up to date the most with my shows and any new music I'm writing. I put recordings up there all the time. The Instagram handle is at @KaiWilson_official. It's KAIWILSON_official.
Cool.
Excellent.
Cool.
So, speaking of that, let's hear some music.
Oh,
Yeah, I see you brought that Gibson 6-string in here.
yeah! I
that's-
brought the Gibson J15. It was actually a if I said this, my mom's gonna say otherwise, but I'm gonna say it. It was my first big investment in like my music journey, I'd say, right? Like I've started to play like real shows, and I've always played, and the reason I say my mom would say otherwise is because I probably have 10 guitars sitting in my apartment, collecting dust. Every time she walks in, she's like, you have more crap in here. She's like, I'm just not coming in here anymore. I hope that's okay. I was like, yeah, not a problem. But this guitar was probably my first big investment into that music journey. Like, I think I owed it to myself to have just a nice guitar worthy to travel with and
Absolutely.
play and look nice. And,
Yeah, it's a good one.
So here we are in studio with Kai Wilson. He's got his Gibson guitar in his hands, and we are about to take off with an unnamed song. Maybe we can start a contest and see who can name Kai's song.
They're talking about the smoking, talking about the drinking and the cigarettes they're talking, but not me. I'm standing on the outside. I can hear all the things that I once tried. It's sometimes I think of what I'm missing, all of their good times. I'm standing at a distance. I feel alone, separated by thin walls. I can hear the memories between them all. But when it's all said and done, and you regret all the things you could have done, just remember they could have come to you. You were holding out your hands and begging to. You were even on your knees. You were working hard for your dreams. I know it's hard to see better things when it's all said and done. All said and done. One more go around the bend. I'll try my best to not offend the ones I love. God damn, it's been tough. I've been scratching at these walls for long enough, and I don't mean to seem far away. I'm sitting in the fast lane and I intend to stay. 'Cause when it's all said and done, and you regret all the things you could have done, just remember they could have come to you. You were holding out your hands and begging to. You were even on your knees. You were working hard for your dreams. I know it's hard to see better things when it's all said and done. All said and done. When it's all said and done, done. When it's all said and done. When it's all said and done.
Well done.
Wow, Kai Wilson, ladies and gentlemen. Kai Wilson. Well, let's name that song.
We'll have to work on that with our audience. And,
Could have been, could have done, Boys Will Be Boys.
There's
a lot
some
of
ways
great-
you can go with it.
I
A lot
know,
of great
well,
things that could go with it.
That's what I mean, and it's the most recent song I've written. So to be honest, I was for a minute there. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through it.
You know, here's one of the questions I was going to ask you. After you write a song, how long does it take you to get it to where it's just second nature? You can go to a show and not have to think about it.
It doesn't feel like that long, and I think that's mostly because, like, with my writing process, like I because I'm always so inspired by guys like Zach Bryan, the Avett Brothers, right, who write songs where you like feel the chill in your bones. I'm very hard on myself to get that opening line, right? And then when I'm hard on myself, I'm like, okay, I think I got the opening line. Like that's a great opening line. And then I'll write a few verses, and I play through the verses just over and over again because I don't want to like create these great verses and I'm so hard on myself for these verses and not have a chorus that just feels like it punches. And so it doesn't take that long because through my writing process, I play the song hundreds of times just to get to the end of the song.
Yeah.
Right? So by the end of it, I'm like, hey, you guys want to hear a new song I wrote? You know?
So how long did it take you to write that song?
I wrote it in one evening. The idea behind the song has been years, probably.
Okay, so what is the story behind the story on the
Sure.
idea that...
So the song, which is currently untitled, right, it's essentially a song that speaks to some isolation that I felt through my, I guess, busy process, right? I'm in grad school, I'm working full time, and I'm doing music essentially full time. I'm in and out, I'm doing shows, I'm traveling with school. Like my buddy was always like, yeah, maybe now that you're done with school, like when we're all done partying on Saturday, you can hang out Sunday morning and like we can all go like hang out. And I was like, oh yeah, like I guess I can now. Right? So like I found isolation in trying to be successful at what I'm doing. And I think the song is about feeling that isolation, feeling like I'm not really part of those groups anymore. I'm kind of seeing them on social media, and I go out with them, and you know, we all go out drinking, we all eat, but I don't do it as frequently, right? So they all talk about stories that I'm now no longer a part of. But the whole chorus is about, well, look, when it's all said and done, right? Like, it's a two-way street. I know I'm having a hard time reaching out to them. No one has come to me all that frequently, and at the end of the day, like, what am I finding important for myself? I've put in all this hard work with grad school. Right now I want to continue furthering my career as a professional in the construction industry or health and safety, whatever that means. And if I'm lucky enough, maybe I get to just do music the rest of my life as a career. You know, I without a doubt will do music the rest of my life. Whether it's my thing or if I'm doing open mic nights at the age of 80, I will forever play my guitar and I will forever play in front of people, because it is something that has brought passion and creativity and love and emotion and all sorts of really healthy outlets that have just been eye-opening for me, right? Like, it's made fostering my relationships easier, right? It's made relationships with my family better. You know, we go to concerts all the time. My dad's also, you know, a singer-songwriter. He doesn't do it full-time, but he does it the same way. He works full-time. He had a show the other week. I drove down on a Thursday. I was heading down to New York to do a recording session in a studio in Brooklyn, and he had a gig on Thursday, so I took Friday off of work and we went and we played songs together in front of people. Like, it's brought so much love and empathy and all sorts of mind-blowing things.
How awesome is that?
That is
to have that special moment with your dad.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
it is. It's
And the story that went behind that song, unnamed song, was really inspirational. That, you know, you don't realize that when you're trying to better yourself one way, other parts of your life are taking a hit.
You're leaving a lot behind in order to pursue what you want. Yeah.
Absolutely, right?
But Mark, what was the main thing that he said? That we hear every person that comes in here, that they do it for the love.
Do it for the love, not for the money, not for the fame. It's all for love of music. And the
that's
way
all
you
it
just
will ever
described
will
it, the way you just described it, is probably one of the most profound things I've heard someone say about what music's brought to them. So that's a pretty cool thing to hear, and the way you put it out there, really, really cool.
Yeah,
I like
very
that.
inspirational.
Yeah, well,
Very
I
impressed. Keep
appreciate
up the good work.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you're originally from Westchester County, New York?
New York, yep.
Is that where your dad plays now?
Yep.
Tell us about your dad. What's his name?
James Wilson.
James Wilson, playing up in Westchester County. Where did you guys play when you were up there to see him?
So we played at Harper's in a town called Dobbs Ferry.
All right.
It's just kind of like a local bar and restaurant, but you know, again, just back to what we were talking about. You know, I showed up to Harper's and my dad was like, "Take your guitar out, tune it, put it on the stand. When I call you up, be ready." And I was like, "You got it, no problem." You know, so he's playing songs, but it's brought more than just me and him together. It's brought a community of like friends and family together. You know, my grandparents were there, my mom's best friends, my dad's best friends. We were all drinking, cheersing, singing along to original songs. Cause
Is he a songwriter as well?
he is, yeah.
Awesome. That's
fun.
really cool.
And,
We might have to have him on.
Oh, he would probably be very excited to hear that.
Yeah, we'd love to have him on.
Yeah.
So listen, any friends up in Westchester County, New York, I know we've got friends up there in our audience. Make sure you get out there and check out the Wilson family.
Yeah, I know. That's funny when you say it like that.
It's funny, yeah. Musicians and Beyond, I think we just hit our 13th country of listeners. We're blown away by the reception that we've gotten.
The response has been great, and
Yeah.
the welcoming from people in the music industry has been great. And
Yeah,
I have to say, I think it's all because of our guests, not because of what us two fools are doing over on this side of the table behind these mics. I think
you
it's a
speak
lot-
for yourself over there.
I think it's a lot of what the guests are bringing to the table. So.
Well, I've just, again, I want to thank you for having me on here.
Yeah,
I want
we're
to thank
good.
Debbie and Jerry as well for making the connection. It's just great to know more people.
Yeah, it really
Yeah,
is.
it's good. And we're big on networking. Most of our guests are avid listeners, and some of them have sold literally 13 million albums. So we have a really big spectrum of musicians, people that are on top of the world, people that are just starting and playing clubs. We have managers, we have studio technicians, security people, musicians and beyond. We We really pride ourselves in being able to, connect all of our guests.
Yeah, I think the blessing that we have is the network that we have is so diverse, and not just in the genre or it's the fields, it's the identity, it's the people behind. I think that's really what's helped us, and it's what helps us bring the audience, people like you, out there networking, meeting new people. We hear of someone like Kai Wilson. We got to get him in here, and I'm glad we did. And
Yeah,
I'm glad he brought his
absolutely.
Gibson today. That's an untitled song that you just heard from Kai, and Kai has an album coming out, or a new
single,
song,
yeah.
single coming out. And what's the name of the single again?
If I Was Your Man.
If I Was Your Man. So you better be watching for that. Before we go, I'd love to maybe get Kai to do another song before we're done here. But let's see. Kai is in from Colorado. How long have you been back in Boston?
I moved back in November of 2021, so just under a year.
Okay.
Just shy of a year.
You're getting your roots planted here?
Yeah, it's work has been great. It's been great to be closer to my family. It's interesting when I moved out to Colorado, it was like, yeah, we're gonna pursue this dream, right? Of making so the job I got was HR and risk manager for a small mom and pop ski resort in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, right? So at the age of 23, 24, I was like, yeah, let's make snowboarding our life. This is what we love, right? So I went out to pursue this lifestyle that I always envisioned for myself, being in the mountains, mountain biking, snowboarding, snowshoeing, fly fishing. I was like, this is the Mecca. This is where I go to do all of the things I love. And then after working, 3/4 of a winter, it changed, right? Like when the world shut down, my priorities changed. It became less about pursuing this dream and more about pursuing people that I care about, right? Like being around, right? Like fostering relationships I have and holding ones that I love even closer than I was before, right? Like it became more of like mom and dad are always a short plane ride away to like now, no, I'm not taking for granted the time I have with mom and dad. I wanna be closer to home. I wanna be where my friends are. I wanna meet a girl and fall in love, and I wanna write music, and I wanna be near people who love me and support me. And I think it was an incredible shift to have that, right? To realize that, no, snowboarding and fly fishing are not everything.
Right. Yeah, you've gone through some bumps along the road, but you're paving a wonderful way for you. Where do you think you're going to be in about 10 years?
Oh, that's a damn good question. I envision for myself working right now. If you were to ask me like what my 5-year plan is, I would say that working remotely would be a big one for me. I'm very much so intrigued by the idea of being able to kind of just pack up and go. Not necessarily move away, but more, like I fly down to Nashville for 24 hours. If I worked remotely, maybe I'd be able to get away with a long weekend or a week in Nashville, right? Maybe try and find an open mic night, maybe book a second gig, maybe network down there a little bit. So it's not necessarily that I want to pack up and run again. It's more so what Colorado gave me was such an interesting experience. It was such a real sense of adventure. And moving home, right, like there was a part of me, like I work for the same company I worked for before I moved to Colorado. I came back to the same general contractor. I'm working the same job. And when I moved back, I was living in Brighton before Colorado. Now I live in Alston, right?
You really went far.
Right, so exactly, right? So I woke up one day and it felt like Colorado never happened, right? So
Interesting.
It felt like a whole dream. It was 2 years of just this incredible adventure of like, being a real mountain man. I like grew my beard out. I was doing backcountry snowboarding. I was like hiding from moose, holding trees next to avalanches, like really immersed myself in Colorado. And I woke up one day and was like, okay, I'll just put on the collared shirt and go back to work, right? Which wasn't a bad thing, and it's still not a bad thing. I've left Colorado with the most amazing memories, but it was a very interesting growing pain that I did not expect at all.
That's it. At a very young age, you've learned something. You had an epiphany, and you're following, what came to you, and that's a great thing. So, you get that little bump out of the way, see what you want to do next.
Wait for the next bump.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've got some great pages that have made up a chapter that you're in the book that you're writing right now.
Yeah.
And
It's-
the book
it's funny
that
that
you
you
are
say that.
writing can end however you write the book.
It's funny that you say that. Something that my mom always says to me, my dad said it to me a few times, even my buddy has said it to me, is, you know, we all go through crap chapters, shitty chapters, where it's just like, it feels like life is really at a lull, right? You're not going to climb this mountain. You're not getting out of this hole, right? But my friends, my family, they're always like, no, it's just a shit chapter, and no one likes to read a boring story. Finish the chapter and start the next one, right? So all of my tattoos they all tell my story, right? And the tattoo I have right here says keep writing, right to what you were saying. So
Perfect.
you are now another person who has told me the same exact thing.
That's a great title for a song.
Keep writing.
Keep writing.
It's incredible.
You may have just named your own song.
Yeah, I think he named my own song.
Do I get royalties?
I was just about to say, well, we can draft up a
All right,
contract.
well, we're good on that. We're good on that. No, this is fantastic that,
Yeah,
that
great
you came in with.
conversation.
Mark, I'd like to hear him play again. What about you?
Listen,
Oh,
he
man.
brought a guitar. There's no reason to see it sit on the floor.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
That's
let's go
true.
over there.
Play us another one and then tell us what your inspiration was to that song.
All right. Let's go to Paris. I heard that it's nice under the lights in the rain, under the tower made of steel. And let's go to New York City, underneath the boards with sports scores, pretty girls and musicians on the screens. For no matter where we are, it'll be just me and you. And regardless of the weather, time of year, it'll be just us two. And we will walk, we will run, we will storm, and we will break through. I'm in love with the idea of you. The smell of flowers in the spring, and the liveliness of trees, and the cold, the winter ended snow, and the death among the leaves. For no matter where we are, it'll be just me and you. And regardless of the weather, time of year, it'll be just us two. And we will walk, we will run, we will storm, and we will break through. I love the idea of you.
see. If you're my girl, you're my world. Nothing can stop me, not the ocean or the seas. And I will drag, I will pour, I will bring the ends of the world to you. I will draw from my feet to the ground on my knees and beg to. 'Cause I'm in love, in love, in love, in love, I'm in love with the idea of you. I'm in love with the idea of you.
He
Wow.
does not need a band. He is the man, Kai Wilson.
Absolutely. Kai Wilson here at Musicians and Beyond. You can find him on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. You can find out where he's going to be playing on his Facebook and Instagram. You can message him and hire him for your own parties, weddings, keg parties. What else do you do? What other fun things do you do?
Cornhole tournaments.
Yeah,
you name
cornhole
it.
tournaments. You know,
Everything. You
Earmuffs
won't be
tournaments.
disappointed with this guy, Kai Wilson. Kai, we want to thank you again very much for coming in the studio, in person, playing, telling your story. It's been great.
And you know, the biggest thing we like to do through that network is meet new people.
Yeah.
And increase, you know, the group of friends we have. So we like to think everyone that comes in studio is our friend. So thank you for being our
Yeah,
friend.
no, I appreciate you having me here. It's been an incredible, you know, to think that I would be on podcasts and all sorts of stuff, you know, 2-3 years ago, I was like, you're out of your mind, you know. So it's been incredible, right? Because music hasn't only brought opportunities to play for people. It's brought a community. It's brought experiences. It's brought a whole new life for me, and it's been incredible. So thank you. as
Great. Well, congratulations. You have reached your pinnacle of the career. You have been on Musicians and Beyond. So, ladies and gentlemen, Kai Wilson, Musicians and Beyond, John Sarabian, Mark Lawhorn. Kai, we want to thank you again, and thank you for being our friend.
Thank you.
You got to stop stealing my line.
I'm sorry.
I already delivered it.
I'm sorry.
I mean, what happened there?
I'm going to keep this on now, right?
I don't know what happened.
Wow, wow.